Howdy friends, Bernardo Spagnol from Nardio.net, and it's Halloween. Well, it's October, which is close enough to Halloween, and I'm excited because I love Halloween. I love being able to make Halloweenish content and spoopy content and make a bunch of minis that are Halloween themed, and I can't think of anything more Halloween themed than the Vampires for Blood Bowl. We have the Drakfang Thirsters, I believe. Yes, I got the name right. I just got these in this weekend, and I love them so much, but one thing. Oh, God, this is way too tight. I got them. I'm so happy. I did not get these free from Games Workshop. Never heard back from the partner program, but I got them. They're worth it. I will say TLDR, they're worth the 50 bucks. If you're in it for Blood Bowl, I have no idea. The rules seem interesting, if anything, kind of a hassle, but for Blitz Bowl, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. And you can make two distinct teams out of them. It's not the usual symmetrical, they're kind of symmetrical, but not really. You can play with them for the most part. But you get two distinct teams for Blitz Bowl. You could have vampires with baddie helmets and without. It comes with 4 thralls for each side, so 8 thralls in total. For Blitz Bowl, I'm going to assume you can use 3, so you can have them, 3 with mask, 3 with no mask, and like substitute 1 or 2 out, so your team, each team kind of looks distinct. And I love that because I just assembled a few more official Games Workshop teams recently, and I hate the lack of customization. Not here. Here you could swap around arms, you could cut things here and there, and I feel like I've made 2 very distinct teams out of it. The only problem I would have customization-wise would be the runner and the blitzer both are very locked in their poses, and the only things you can do are swap the head for a masked and unmasked version, but both look awesome. I would say though, for painting, what I'm gonna do is I assembled the runners with headless, because if you can see here, I'll probably show pictures later on, this is so tight up here with the armor going back up that the runner's head is too big because she has huge hair, the classic vampire hair, and she looks like an amazing model, but I don't think I want to even try painting it with the head in there. So yeah, there's that. The runner, again, very tight, but I decided I took a risk and put him in here, and if I could put this here so you could see. It's really a tight fit between their head and their armor. So it's going to be fun painting this later on today. Anyway, I love them. I love them both. I think this is totally worth the 50 bucks if you buy it from Games Workshop, 42 if you get it from a vendor on eBay. And I keep saying it, but I love them. I think they look so good. They're detailed, but not crazy hyper detailed. I'm like, oh God, no. So I'm a little intimidated by painting these up, but I'm very excited too because I really, really, really want to get these out on the field. So I'm talking fast, but I'm excited. And I hope you are too, because I think these are going to be fun in the game. But how? That's the question. That's the big question. Because the Drakfang Thirsters come with roles that aren't in the community team. The community team just has 2 vampires and 4 thralls. The vampire team here is actually very reminiscent, if not a copy, of the Skaven team. At first I thought the humans team, but I had it wrong. So you have 3 linemen, a thrower, a gutter runner or a runner, and a blitzer. So how do we? Now the new question is, how do we stat the vampire team so there's not another, reskin? And I have some ideas, so bear with me now. One, I was thinking about doing a lore video, because I actually want to get into the lore of Blood Bowl and Blitz Bowl and all this other stuff. And I know Blitz Bowl is more of a shadow side of things, but I'm probably planning on getting the Blood Bowl manual so I can read up and do like a lore video there, because a lot of people people don't know about this. And I tried sitting through some lore videos, and God, they were horrible. I couldn't even make it a minute in either one because the people doing it were doing either stupid accents or funny voices, and it was just grated on me. So I'm just gonna buy the book myself, read the lore, and maybe do an hopefully easy to listen to lore video overview, highlight some team stuff there for Blood Bowl, and then bring it into Blitz Bowl. And anyway, so when the Drakfang Thirsters were announced, they also announced this, a Spike magazine for Blood Bowl that goes into who they are, their lore, and their playstyle. Now this is gonna help us make a good vampire team for Blitz Bowl. The vampires, the Drakfang Thirsters seem a bit convoluted, but there's cause for it because the vampires are very, very powerful. And the TLDR of the lore is the vampires love Blood Bowl, like every other species in the Blood Bowl world, but they're held back because they're not weak, they're unbelievably strong, but in this universe, the vampires are blood addicts. And not like, blood addicts of, haha, I need a drink to survive, but I guess very often they will get so hungry they'll kill somebody nearby because they're that hungry. Haha, it's a game. So what's happened in some previous games of Blood Bowl, where the vampires would, in mid-game, decide, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat the fan in the front row who bought the expensive seats, or I might just kill one of the enemy players and drink their blood, which caused them to lose a lot. And that's been an issue. So the solution was thralls. Humans who were not really up to par for Blood Bowl, the major leagues, would be able to be thralls for the vampire. So what does that mean is during the game, when the vampires are feeling peckish, they'll just have some of their thrall. And having this supply of blood on hand that they wouldn't get in trouble for feeding on was very useful. And then the vampires became a powerful team with this. And I already gave you the lore, but hey, that I think is how we're going to make the Drakfang Thirsters a Blood Bowl team. I'm thinking we're going to give the vampires 7 move, maybe 8. I don't know. I'm not sure. We could make them mirror the Skaven, but the thralls are going to have either 5 or 6 move. So, and I know, wait a minute, you're making 3 units really powerful and you're making 3 units really lame. Well, we got to balance it because, the Skaven team and the Dinosaur team are kind of almost broken because of how fast they are. 7-7, 9-7 for Skaven, that's hard to keep up with for a lot of teams, even the traditional vampire community team. But if I make a new team, and yes, this is me sitting down with you, my friends, to talk about how we're going to make this team, I think they should be powerful. I enjoy games with fast players and lots of high scoring. So let's hope I don't knock this down. The idea is our thrower, our blitzer, and our runner are going to, for the most part, have, let's say, 7 move to start. Maybe we'll give the runner 8, right? The thralls are going to have 5 move, maybe 6. We'll see. But here's the thing. The thralls are going to be a mechanic for the vampires to use. So, that hurt. So what's going to happen is if there is a thrall near a vampire, when a vampire has been downed, like let's say you just tackle the vampire player, right? But there's a thrall next to it. What the vampire can do is reach out to the thrall, drink their blood for a free immediate stand-up, but the thrall will be taken down. Or if there is a vampire who's been knocked down someplace else, a thrall can run up to them and for free offer themselves up for the thrall to get knocked down and the vampire to be raised up. Now, the only thing I can think of that might be a little more interesting is if, let's say the vampire was like knocked down and injured, so he had to go out. What if he did something called life swap, where the thrall, if it's 1 square away, would then take the damage and get knocked out? So we'd be able to have these fast, powerful units. You'd have this mechanic of the thralls giving the vampire something. I don't know. I'm playing with it in my head because I kind of like the idea of having a vampire team that's a bit more interesting than just 2 vamps and 4 thralls. I mean, I like the flesh-hungry horror thing of the community team where a vampire can make a mark of 3 spaces away as opposed to 2. But I don't know, I kind of wanted to have a little more, and I kind of like the thrall mechanic. What if we did something else where, let's say, if a vampire is near a thrall before it starts a run, it could feed on the thrall, knock it down, and the vampire would have maybe 2 more move, maybe 3 more move. I don't know, something like that. Maybe it's like you'd get 2 more move if you drank enough to knock it down. But if you drank enough to knock the thrall out, then maybe you get 3 move. And there are plenty of times where you just want that 1 extra inch. So, I don't know. Well, let me know. What do you think in the comments? This is interesting because I'm working on a few teams by myself. I'm very, very excited to show this team that's coming, going to be arriving to my apartment soon because it is completely unique. I've seen no other rules for it, and Jazz and I are brewing this baby up. But let's get back to the vampires. Like, so what do we do to make them fun and interesting? And I kind of like the idea of like a team that has kind of mechanics that work off each other. I know in some of the, it's not the college team, but there's some sort of faction teams where if you have a few of these units together, they kind of buff each other. And I kind of like that. So I'm thinking we're going to make the thralls, the vampires, more powerful mechanic. But the danger is, like, we don't want to make another OP team. Or do we? Because, you know, it's kind of fun. And it's October. And this kind of goes into another point that kind of leads away from the Drakfang Thirsters. But I've come up with new community rules. Well, I guess not really community. But if you want, I'll share the card. But a new idea of how I'm going to play the vampires in the month of October. For the community team, I believe we're on version 4.0 if I'm looking at the PDFs I have in front of me properly. The idea is it's still going to be the 2 vampires and 4 thralls, but the vampires are now going to have 7 move, and the thralls are going to have 6 move, and they're both going to have the flesh-hungry horror ability, where they can move 3 squares when they mark instead of 2. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I feel like the vampire team, it's good, but it feels a bit underpowered, and it's balanced against slower teams. Well, this is Halloween month, and I want to do something a little special, so I'm going to power them up, and let's see how they feel. And who knows, maybe this will be the new baseline stats of this vampire team. So, now we have 2 vampire teams. What do we do about that? Well, I'm thinking of keeping the Drakfang Thirsters the Drakfang Thirsters. We have 2 versions of the masked and unmasked, and I don't think we need to make new rules for the unmasked versions or the masked versions just yet. I do kind of like the idea of if you had more of a mutated vampire team, maybe they'd have like better move, way worse aggro. Like there's already lore in the Age of Sigmar universe, like in Warcry and other places, of vampires who are so lost to the blood curse, so lost to their hunger and the rage and violence inside of them that they kind of start losing themselves. They get more powerful, but they also just, you know, they're in a way mentally weaker. So we could exploit that here and have like crazy vampire models who just have like, you know, 8 run and like 2 armor block dice, and let's say all their armor is 6. So if they don't get a 6, they're out of there. So, you know, there's a double-edged sword there. So I kind of like the idea of making different kinds of vampire teams. But let's go back to the community team. So I have a few ideas. One, we keep the new vamps in for my version 2.0 team, where it's the Thrall 6, Vampire 7, both flesh-hungry horror. I'm thinking about calling them the Soulblight Gravelords. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that. So it's the Soulblight Gravelords, and then the Drakfang Thirsters. And the Soulblight Gravelords could be a bit more of an elite team since they're so powerful, and maybe, just maybe, we could play around with it more, where we can try 2 versions of them. One, we could have it where it's what we have for the community team already, or what if we get rid of 2 thralls and get 2 skeletons in their place? Now, that really fits the Soulblight Gravelord themes because, you know, they also have skeletons. And I like the skeleton team rule that on the start of their turn, they're able to rise back up. Now, I think that would be interesting because then you kind of have like the undead horde army thing going on. You could have 2 skeletons that, well, let's give them like 5 or 6 move, maybe armor 5+. Then you'd have 2 thralls who would have 6 move, armor 4+, and they'd have flesh hungry horror. And then you'd have the 2 vampires, 7 move, 3+ armor, 2 block dice, and throw of 3+. I kind of like that. I kind of like that. So what's going to happen is for this month, we're going to have the vampire team that I just explained. I might build another vampire team with the skeletons, or maybe I'll just do a few games where I just bring a few skeletons in from some of my other armies and like try to rejig the team. But I kind of like the idea of having, because we already have a few flavors of human, so why not have a few flavors of vampire, right? Let's have like the Drakfang Thirsters. Let's have the Soulblight Gravelords. Let's have the, I don't even know what I would call the community vampire team. Commivamps, whatever. But I like the idea of playing around with this. And I hope you guys, if you have suggestions, let me know. I shared a little bit of my ideas in some of the Blitz Bowl Facebook groups, and I just keep being told to go to their Discord, which is like, that's not helpful. I mean, I'm excited to see what they come out with, because I love that there's a dedicated team of people, group of people who are like working on these rules, and they're way smarter than I am, I'm sure, in regards to this. They've been making teams and balancing stuff for a while, so I'm excited, but I just don't have it in me to join another group right now. I mean, I'm in the middle of doing Kasacon stuff, so one Discord at a time is all I can handle, and we just booked another cosplay guest and another professor. Side note, so I'm really excited about that. Anyway, I recommend the Drakfang Thirsters. I'm going to make rules for them as soon as possible. I'm going to paint them up as fast as I can today. For 15 bucks, I don't know, it's a little bit pricey, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. It comes in with lore and like little backstory for them. The art's kind of funny. And this picture I'm going to show you right now is my feelings about Blitz Bowl. Like, it's so weird to me that you can have, and Blood Bowl in general, you could have halflings go against beasts like this. So anytime I see pictures of, you know, halflings versus anyone, I'm like, how do the halflings even compete? How do the humans compete? But there's a lot of fun art in here, and I liked learning a little bit about the history, the characters. I love the way they tried to play around with the vampires to make them seem unique, powerful, but still kind of like you got to be really careful when you play them. So I don't know, this has been fun, and hopefully I can, you know, digest this into some rules for them or a future team. I'm kind of thinking about doing a werewolf team. I mean, how can you have vampires and not werewolves? There's already werewolves in Blitz Bowl, right? They're in, I think, the necromantic team or the undead team. And I know they're in the Corn team. I don't know if they're called werewolves there, but the Corn team have some werewolf-looking dudes. So why don't we have a werewolf team yet? We need to. And I would love it if we could do a vampire versus werewolf game next Halloween. Because we're doing a Christmas game. Spoiler. We're doing a Super Bowl game. But I'm sorry to say, as of right now, I don't know about any Halloween game. I'm going to try. But I would like to bring out like Halloween monsters all month next October. I mean, this month we're going to have a bunch of teams where it's just like the undead, the vamps, and a few others. But how cool would it be if it's... I guess we could have the Slan on because they're like fishmen. They're lizard men. But if you watch any of the old campy horror movies, a Slan would definitely be that. The Dino Men, I guess you could have them as horror stuff. We'll see. But anyway, it'd be really fun to have a whole bunch of spoopy stuff that way. So, yeah, werewolf team later on. If you got the extra money to spare, I say get this. It's cool. It has some art ideas you could just play around with. So, yeah, that is all. That's my Drakfang Thirster video. I know I hemmed and hawed a lot, but just buy them. I love them so much. They're such good sculpts. And I dare say this is my new favorite sculpt from Blood Bowl and from Games Workshop for a while, for my little favorite hobby that is Blitz Bowl. I hope you're all doing well. Have a great day. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. We're so close to hitting our requirement for YouTube Partner Program. I'm like freaking out. So that's all. Have a great day, guys. Bye.